that's why these ancient trees hold so much carbon. And that's why each one of these ancient trees needs to find. Hello. So I am back. I'm gonna work on the Grisaille phase today. It's been a couple of days since I've left the initial stage of the blocken dry out fully. It's fully dry now. And since then, like, I thought about the painting and the composition, and I did notice something off. The face of Payal is way too big compared to Khalid. So yeah, I think I'm gonna like change some stuff around a bit and also start the Grisaille phase. I am really excited about it. Yeah, I don't know how it will turn out, how it's gonna like be at the end, but I am still excited to see how it's gonna turn out. Yeah, let's see how it turns out. Yeah. Okay, so this is my titanium white. I got it a long time now. The bottle is like really squished and like used, and you can also see it's a sad part. I lost the cap of the tube, and now every time I want to use it, I use like this knife to to like get rid of the old layer that are like drawn. Oh, I fucked up my knife right now. Okay, I got this other one. I usually use this one because it's cheaper than the other one, and it's even stronger, and I just like go through it until the old dried out paint. That's actually really crazy that I do that. But yeah, now I have the tube running again. I'm gonna use a lot because I need a lot for the first stage, and then I'm gonna use raw umber, just like also a lot. It hurts to use that much, but okay. And now I think I'm gonna start with a not so big of a brush. I'm just gonna like use this one I used last time too, and I think it's a nice size to do the first stages. So this is a bottle I store my linseed oil in. I don't use a lot of linseed oil in my latest painting because I've noticed that linseed oil makes my painting turn really yellow. I try not to use it a lot, only in the first stages. I'm gonna mix a bit. I'm gonna try to make the first layers really thin. There is this concept, it's called fat over lean. Basically, you try to start with a really thin layer, because when you put another layer on top of it, if the layer that comes on top of it is thinner than the first layer, it needs less time, and that makes the painting crack. So you always start with a really thin layer and build your way up to thicker layers, because the thinner layers dry faster, and that allows you to paint over them. By the way, guys, I need to show you this cute little creature watching me paint. Samiha, hello. So I want to start with Khalid's face first, because it's smaller and simpler. Like, he has the texture in his hair and everything is much more simple to do. I think it would be in a way a little warm up for me that I can do before going to Payal's face, because portrait of Payal is much more complex with the hair and her side profile and the look on her face. I feel like it's hard to capture than in Khalid's face, so I'm gonna start with the little one first. I'm gonna use the black and white picture again because it's always easier for the first stage. Let's test this first. I think, yes, this is a good shade for now. I think these shades are gonna I'm gonna change them a lot and like move them around a lot. So I just like to have a little comparison that I can do while working on the different tones. It's good like to start with a simple shade, and this is right now way too bright for the hair area, but I'm still gonna put it in, just like to have something. And I am noticing right away that this brush is a bit too thick, and especially because Khalid's face is like really small, but it's always good to start with a bigger brush and try to work yourself down to a smaller brush when you get to the finer details. I'm gonna do the hair now, I think, because the shapes of the hair are not that complex compared to the subtle details of the eyes and nose. Okay, so I did the big shapes right now. I'm gonna go with a smaller brush and start to do the eye area. By the way, I just realized that the footage doesn't look that nice on this camera. It's because of the light. It's like really a harsh spotlight, and that makes the footage kind of way too bright, and you can see this little insect flying in on the canvas. It's really warm right now, so the insects are just like coming and enjoying and keeping me company. I'm gonna go with this brush right now. I think this one is also a bit too thick, but I'm gonna still try to challenge myself and use this one. It's been a couple of minutes. I decided not to film and talk all the time because it really does take my focus away from painting, especially at a crucial stage as this one. So I decided just like to paint and see how far I come before talking again. And I am currently at a stage in which I feel like good enough to talk a bit about my process and how I am feeling right now. I think for the fact that I am doing it right now, like really fast and just going in, I feel like it's looking good enough, or like it's looking good, and I am happy with it. But I did realize that some parts of the composition of the face is a bit wrong. First of all, the distance between the two eyes, I made it a bit bigger than it is on him in real life, and the distance between the nose, like the downside of the nose and the eyes, it's also a bit too short, which makes his nose look thicker than it is, even though I feel like thickness of the nose I got really right, but like the distance between the eyes and the nose is so like short that it makes his nose look bigger than it is. I could just like move the nose down a bit, which in this stage is really easy to do because like I am not fully committed to the spaces and everything, but I feel like I can also fix it without doing it all over again, since my brush strokes are really broad and like undefined. The more I work on it, the more defined and clean and smooth my brush strokes will be, which in turn will make me have more control on the big shapes that I put in, and I can just like adjust that a bit, which just like make the spaces between the eyes and the nose be better. I decided to end the session for today because it's getting late, first of all, and also I feel like I should just leave it to dry a bit. I think I used a bit too much medium at first, and it's making it really hard to get to the point in which I feel like I can work with the paint and like not the paint working against me, because sometimes there is like a weird feeling when I put too much medium in the oil that makes it hard to mix the different tones together because it's too oily. And when I achieve the point in which I feel like I can really work with the paint, it feels always nice, but I tried my best to work on this and get to that point, but I for some reason didn't get it. Hello. So it's been a couple of days since I last worked on the Grisaille phase. I wanted to talk a bit about my daily portrait, like how I've been feeling about it and so on. I started to, like, in the last couple of weeks, get really tired of doing the daily portraits. Not because I didn't enjoy making them, but because I didn't like to always post or like edit the videos and post on Instagram daily. But I do want to like focus on making these videos actually, because it gives us a feeling of a journal that I can always look back at and watch again and see how my thoughts and my skills were at that time. So yeah, that's that. I am kind of happy with it. Like, I think it resembles Khaled pretty well, but I also feel like the darks and the lights are not really contrasty enough to make the form be as three-dimensional as it could be. So I'm just gonna go over all of this and like try to make the contrast even higher than it was before. I'm gonna go with a smaller brush and try to work on the details again. I might use black at this stage in order to make the contrast a bit better, because Rumble is really not that dark compared to ivory black. I might do that. I have to see though. Maybe layering it all over each other will make it be more contrasty. It definitely is darker, that's a good thing, but like at the same time, I don't think it's dark enough. I have to see. So there's a little problem I'm facing right now, and that is the light coming from behind me is making the paint really reflective, and that was always a problem when I was working here. So I'm gonna shut the windows down and use artificial light that is coming from one side. It looks bad on the camera, but it's better for me, so I'm gonna do that. So I got the light ready and it's much better now. Like I can see the painting without it being so glossy and reflecting the light. So after I fixed my lighting situation, I just took some titanium white, mixed it with raw umber, and then went over the highlights on the face. This helps me to kind of make the forms a bit more three-dimensional because the different tones and the light and the shadows gets more contrasty. Now I went over the lips and also did the same there. Fixed the eye a bit. And just went over the other eye and darkened it a bit. Now you can see I started to do the ear. I went first with the darker colors and then just used titanium white and tried to do the details. A smaller brush to even accentuate the details. And now lastly I went over the clothes, the color, and just roughly put the shapes in and the different values of the clothes. I finished the session and cleaned my brushes. It's been a couple of days since I was working on this painting for now. I am currently, I would say, really happy with it, although I must say I have noticed something that was bothering me from the start, but I didn't change, and now I am at a stage in which it's harder to change because I already developed the Grisaille to a point where I think it's almost done, and that is the proportions of the eyes and the likeness. The left eye is a bit high and the right eye is low, which makes the eyes appear a bit not symmetrical, so it's kind of bothering me a lot. Actually a lot, because it would have been nice to just like not have that be a problem. I asked my family members and most of them said that I got the likeness really correct or like right, but some of them noted that the eyes are wanky or janky, and that's not something I want to continue to work on. I want to change that before I get to the coloring stage. But I must say, I do like working with raw umber much more than ivory black. It's better to use lighter colors than darker in the Grisaille stage, because light canvas takes color better than black one. And in this case, the face is really light and still has a lot of different values, which in turn will make the Grisaille face much easier and much simpler to do. I think I'm gonna change this eye, even though I like this one more and I feel like it captures his eye shape much better than this one, but this one is lower than this one, and the thing is both of his eyes are already pretty low. Like even this one needs to be like a tiny bit higher, but I'm not gonna do like rechange all of the eyes, so I'm just gonna do this one, which is obviously really low. You can see right here that this side and this side does not match. I'm gonna try to make it match.
Affect it, but at least work. work on your stuff before Drag Race. Don't go out with this huge platform and like try
I finished painting the second version of the eye, and I think this made the face look much better. I am quite happy with the way it turned out, and I think even just making it higher than it was before captured his look a bit better. I will next start to work on Payal's face and try to capture her appearance.
You know what? They already clocked you in the watch. It was like Bob sees the Dragon story.
So that everything else can change. And so
I've been working on the face of Payal, and I've been coming up to a problem with the light. Like, I have my light facing right there. Let me show you. It's right there. And the problem is that it's too close to the picture. It's making the picture really reflective. If I am facing directly on, let me show you how it would look like if you are standing directly in front of the picture. You see there is a shine around the areas that are dark, and it's causing me some problems. I have to move to the side and draw like from this perspective, a bit like with an angle, and causing my reflection to cast on the painting because the light is exactly right behind me. It's really awkward to paint. And the second point is the whole canvas is really high up. Like, I pinned the canvas like this so I can have both of their face in the middle. But the problem is her face, it's much higher than my perspective, than my eye level, and it's causing me to stand on my toes, or even I got this little thingy. That one, I am using it to stand on it. But the problem is now that I am much too high to paint. Like, I am now looking downward on the painting, and it's really awkward and really frustrating because the slide is really bad. Okay, so I lowered the canvas a bit, about, I would say, 4 centimeters or 5, and now her face is the exact eye level as mine. And this causes the reflection and the shine to be a bit not so noticeable.
Kevin Smith, famous from the. There's no like super consistent way of like telling.
and it was like a summer in Florida.
So I am done with the painting session for today. I do have to say I am happy with it. Like, I feel like I was struggling a bit to find the groove, but for now I think I am really happy at it to leave it at this stage. I am not exactly sure if I will do the hair too, because I am using my raw umber. You cannot see it either way because of the light, and it's from Old Holland, which is really fucking expensive. It hurts a bit to use this much raw umber, so I am thinking of introducing black, and especially for the hair, she has almost brownish black hair. I already have a brownish tone, so if I go with black over it, like a thin layer of black, it will still do the trick of the Grisaille because the hair doesn't have that many different shades of color. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. So it wouldn't make sense to use raw umber. That's it for now. I'm gonna clean my brushes and my stuff, and then I'm gonna get back to it next time I have time. I'm back. It's been a couple of days since I last worked on this painting, and I got a new haircut. The painting is fully dry right now, and I'm just gonna start the second glaze of the Grisaille which will most likely consist of me lightening the whole painting and the first layer, because right now I have a nice base that has like a mid-tone and a nice dark value, which the only thing that I need to really make it pop up more is the white, the highlights, and I will also use a bit of black in this stage, or maybe I will just like darken the areas with the raw umber before using black, and then next glaze will be with the black and ivory black. Okay, so I think I will do another voiceover at this part. You can see me using light raw umber with titanium white in order to just like fill in the highlights again. And I think it's always really interesting how this accentuates the form really drastically, especially because this layer is a bit thicker than the layer before. I just like softened it a bit more. Now I went over the eye and I started to darken the eye and make it a bit more contrasty. I used a really thin brush to just like fill in, almost use it like a pen. And now went over with a different brush to soften the edges. More highlights. Now did the same to the nose. I used a bit darker mix to make it a bit more dark. The mouth too. And it's actually really satisfying to see the process go on, because it's just a mix of two colors that play together really well. Now you see me use almost pure titanium white, but like I used so little of it and spread it around so much that it gets really transparent, and that helps me highlight the highlights even more. Did the same to the ear, and I was done with it. So this is me from the future now. I forgot to film the outro for the video when I filmed it about 4 months ago, or actually 5. I would say half a year ago. So this was the process of me doing the Grisaille and trying to film as much as I could, because there were some parts that I left out because I thought the video would be too long and a bit boring. So I tried to condense the multiple weeks of work into this small video. Actually, I am really proud of the way this Grisaille turned out. Like, I think this was my 3rd Grisaille ever, and for the size of it and the complexity of the composition and the faces, I think I did pretty well. There were some mistakes till at the end. I think I didn't fully manage to get the size of Payal head correct, and that still bothers me, but I think that's a mistake that makes me realize I need to focus on the first stages even more in the future, which I will 100% be doing. But for now, I will leave you guys, and I am really excited to actually show you the next stage, which will be me coloring the picture and doing the glazing effect. Till then,
Peace out.